Good morning on this lovely Monday, our first Monday in Lent. And here we are gathered and ready to hear another story. This time, the story comes from a man named Vidai Genovez Andres. And Vidai was born in San Salvador, El Salvador, and he studied civil engineering there, currently living in Herndon, Virginia, and is a faithful attendee at St. Timothy's Episcopal Church there. Um, what a what a blessing to have him in the same state that we are in. Uh, we're going to begin, of course, with prayer. So join me as Gabby prays with and for us.
Omnipotente Dios, cuyo bendito Hijo fue llevado por el Espíritu para ser tentado por Satanás, apresúrate a socorrer a los que somos atacados por múltiples tentaciones, y así, como tú conoces las flaquezas de cada uno de nosotros, haz que cada uno te halle poderoso para salvar. Por Jesucristo tu Hijo nuestro Señor, que vive y reina contigo y el Espíritu Santo, un solo Dios, ahora y por siempre. Amén.
And now for Vidai's story. I grew up in a Christian evangelical home where I was taught about the Holy Scriptures and the love of Christ. As a teenager, I decided to learn about the Roman Catholic Church and attended a Salesian school where the priests instilled in me the love of Jesus Christ. But despite these opportunities to encounter Jesus, none of them was as impactful as the encounter I had with God in 2001. On January 13th of that year, shortly after 11:30 a.m., I heard a blast as loud as a roaring train. The ground shook under my feet and knocked me to the floor. It was a frightening experience. After the earthquake, our home was still standing, though cracks could be seen on our land. The building next door, a grocery store that we owned, was also standing, but all of our stock was destroyed. It took us years to recover from that financial loss. In the midst of pain and misery, I experienced Jesus through those who came with food and affection. I particularly remember an elderly neighbor, Juana. She barely had food for herself, yet every day at 11:30 a.m., she made sure we had food on the table for lunch. I shall never forget Juana's generosity. Her example has inspired me to see Jesus in the face of others. Today, I try to carry out the call to share God's love with those who need it, and I marvel to know that God always keeps his word. Being generous toward others has not drained my bank account because God has always rewarded me. I am reminded of Proverbs 19:17. Whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord and will be repaid in full. This elderly woman acted like the widow whose story is told in Mark 12:41-44. I am struck by our Lord's explanation in verse 44. For all of them have contributed out of their abundance, but she, out of her poverty, has put in everything she had, all she had to live on. As I reflect on these events that happened more than 2 decades ago, I can firmly say that God is true to his word. God doesn't forsake or abandon us. I want to allow for Vidai's experience to settle with us, settle with you today, settle within me as I journey through my day, remembering that even in the midst of devastation, God can be there. God shows up around us. And sometimes we see it right away. Vidai and his family were so fortunate to have Juana in their lives, to have someone who was ready and able and so willing to care for them and to be Christ's presence in this world. And I pray that as we go through our lives, that we can either be Juana or recognize the wanas around us so that we too can see where Jesus is walking in our midst. Let's go forth today, holding all of that in our hearts, and I'll see you again tomorrow morning.